Okay, let's do this. VSC, people.
Woohoo! The most dangerous show of the week.
I'm coming. I'm tired. I'm coming. Good morning. I'm not even wearing a nice top.
Oh no.
Oh no, we were doing packages. I was busy. Welcome to the Sun Dragon Sideshow.
The VSC edition.
And I didn't adjust the camera. Give me a second. You're gonna wiggle. Y'all at home are gonna wiggle for a second, and I'm gonna grab my ranunculus, and we're gonna ignore the phone call because they can leave a message. Hi, I'm Rebecca. I'm the owner of Sun Dragon Art and Fiber in Trying to Drown Itself with Rain, Brevard, North Carolina.
I'm Liz. I'm the minion there. Oh, I have a spider story.
Oh, vamp, Liz. Tell
So-
the spider story.
I'm in the bathroom and I saw something float past my head and I wigged out.
Float past your head?
Yeah. And then I looked down and it was on me. And I, let out an exclamation.
Was it one of the scary new ones?
No.
Okay.
And Bernie goes, "What's the matter? Are you okay?" And I was like, "Oh, wait, it's fuzz. It's but it's dead fuzz now."
So it wasn't a
It
spider.
wasn't a spider, but it's like yarn on the floor at the yarn shop. It's dead yarn now. But
It's preparation.
oh my gosh, I am not.
It's preparation for
Looking.
when the real spiders come. She's practicing.
I will be all out flamethrower to the sky, like
Okay.
losing my
Circling
mind.
back in.
over that.
So of course I put on my ranunculus because our knit along for the ranunculus begins in April. I'm gonna try to start mine soon just so I can do some prep work because I don't want to say everyone's freaking out, but we'll get to that in a second. But people are getting a little nervous because I liken it to when I teach knitting and crochet. The hardest part is the first thing I teach you. And it's like, it gets easier from there. Like long tail cast on is like, what? And then knitting is like, oh. So the very first part of this sweater is the cast on, and she's got two funky cast ons to give you a really cool neck. And people are looking at that and going, what? Once you get through that, it gets easier, which means I have to make sure I'm fully grounded in both of those before we start. However, all of that to say, we are advertising more yarns any yarn that is between a lace weight and a worsted weight. My brain's going to fail me right now because this is still not fully drunk yet. This is my morning coffee. Anything that's between a lace weight and a worsted weight technically can be used for this. Now, some fibers might work better than others and show stitch definition. They're all going to give you a different look. Thin to thick on a size 10 is all going to give you a different look. We've talked before about how this is meant to be big and open. So you don't even necessarily have to test your gauge as long as you pick a size that will give you some positive ease. Like she's designed this. She's designed this to have like
massive
18 inches of positive, 10
yeah.
plus. Like the original design was 18 inches of positive ease. I actually haven't measured this to see what happened. I should. Maybe I will if we have time today. We'll see. Probably another day because we got to talk about yarns and we only have so much time because life. But the other thing is people see this and they're like, oh, I couldn't make it that short. You don't have to. You can make it longer. Just buy more yarn to be on the safe side. If you don't like these sleeves, you can actually put sleeves on it. Absolutely. There's all kinds of fun things. Remember, this is a yarn we talked about last week, the Jody Long Alba. And it is a DK, and I put that in quotation marks because it really is more of a sport weight, but it fluffs up a bit. So a true sport weight that's not like a fluffy fiber with alpaca in it might drape a little differently than this does. But we advertised 8 yarns last week. We're only doing 5 this week, but there's still ones that should look pretty cool. So the caveat to that is that we're not going to have all the colors on display here. You can go online and see what colors we have. Last week we did some plant fibers, and plant fibers will take the stitch definition of all of this a little differently than animal fibers will. They will have different amounts of stretch and give to them than animal fibers. So like plants, we're talking about cotton, bamboo, linen, that kind of stuff. Animals, we're talking about wool, alpaca, like camel springs to mind, although we don't have as much camel in the shop right now. Llama, like things that eat versus things that grow.
I did my black one's out of Oxley, so it's got yak, and
You want to hold it up?
I can hold it. It won't look good over the t-shirt, but
Because it's black on black.
it is black.
But you've got drapey. Like yours is a sport weight, but if anything, your sport weight is almost hardier than the sport weight I have on in
Yeah.
terms of like it's a little bit more of a.
I did it. Got sleeves,
And we don't have much Oxley left in the shop because they stopped making it.
and I crocheted.
Yeah.
Because so there's all kinds of possibilities.
There is. And remember, I'm doing a lace weight, which is not on sale this week. We put it on sale a couple weeks ago. One of them I'm doing is a lace weight, and one of them, how about we go opposite direction of weight? So we start with the heavier and go to the thinner this week. And when we get to the one that you're starting, we can talk about the one you're
That's
starting.
fine.
The other one I'm going to do is a worsted weight. This is Juniper Moon Cumulus Rainbow, and getting prepped.
I realized I stuck lots of stuff on your side, not on mine.
It's because you have the thing you started over there. So Cumulus Rainbow is a worsted weight cotton, and it is a chainette construction. So it is actually pretty fluffy and lightweight, but warm. Like when people think of cotton, they think of something that will breathe. And this might not wick because that's wool, but this might breathe a little, but it would also be warmer than you normally would think of cotton being, because of the way that any chainette is going to kind of trap air inside.
And
like
it's a
down
thicker
jacket.
yarn. So,
I mean, the nifty cotton's also a worsted, but
Yeah.
it might breathe a little better, but it also might be kind of heavy.
the heavier the yarn,
Yeah.
the warmer it's
I'm
going to.
planning on, if I make this, I'm probably planning on, because this color changes through the whole skein. And I like to pull out this to let people know there's like bright aqua in there, kind of tealy aqua. This color changes throughout the whole skein. And so it's going to be a little bit challenging to put sleeves on this one. Well, it depends on the weight. Like it depends on how much of a skein I go through and where I end up with. I could fade it. We've seen things where people are able to color,
Manipulate.
yes, thank you. Coffee. Lack of coffee. Color manipulate so their sleeves could pick up at the same spot. Like I've already made one that just ends at the sleeves. So I kind of want to, with my lace weight and with this one, do something that has some amount of sleeve, whether it's a short sleeve or a long sleeve, or I still haven't decided yet. That's kind of the fun of choose your own adventure, right? So I'm going to make it out of this. I want to say it's probably going to take me minimum 3 of these, because there's 250 yards per skein of the Cumulus Rainbow. We have different varieties of Cumulus, and I think we're going to put all of them on sale this week, which actually adds up to many more than 5 yarns, but this is one variant.
Solids,
We have solids.
dappleds, which will do a subtle stripe.
I brought in, hang on, it'll do like yeah, speckly stripe. I brought in a shawline.
The rainbow, so they're all the same fiber content. They are 94% cotton, 6% nylon, 251 yards. They're recommending a 7 to 9.
This is what the
But
dappled
10
does.
will be fine. That's
Yeah.
a 10 needle.
This
right?
almost everything I've done with Cumulus, I've done on a size 10 needle. So it should be great for the ranunculus. I haven't knit with the rainbow by itself. I've always striped it with something else. So I'm really intrigued to see this will be my experiment to see what happens with the rainbow going straight with it.
And for crocheters, they have an I to a K hook.
Because
The-
everybody saves this week.
The rainbow we are retailing for $24.95.
And I think
We
the-
have several fun.
we do. I'm gonna
colors.
hold. I might try to order some this week, but they may not come in time. I don't know. We got to see. Cash flow is a funky thing right now. We've got blues. We have like jewel tone rainbows. We have pastels. We have neutrals. Stuff like this. Like once I take out the ones I want to make with this, I'm not sure how many I have left actually. I might be bogarting this, and I apologize in advance.
The solids are all the same stats as the rainbows. $21.95 for
Because
the solids.
there's not as much dye work that goes into them. We have lots of pretty
We have-
colors of
yeah.
the solids. They're great. It's the softest cotton we have in the shop. It's fantastic.
And then dappleds,
I wanna
all the
say
same
they're-
stats. They are $24.95.
They're the same price as the rainbows. So, so those are 15% off this week with the code product of the week with spaces when you check out online, or mention it to us in the shop because we will forget. So you can do all kinds of fun stuff. We will have the caveat that we had a knitter who made an Irish shawl that striped. She just told us last night, striped light color with a bold color. And when she blocked it, the bold color bled a little bit. When you're making it all something all of one color, if the color bleeds a little bit, it probably won't show. But be aware if you're using it with something else, it could bleed. Use color catchers. That's our thing. Use color catchers when you're soaking it to see if that can keep that from happening. But any bold saturated color, we were theorizing last night. I'm not sure why it happened. I've only seen 1 or 2 complaints online of that happening. Most people aren't saying that's a problem, but it happened with more than one shawl of hers. So we don't know if it was the temperature of the water. She says it wasn't super hot. We don't know if it's just the cotton can't hold the amount of dye that's being put into it, because this is a reputable yarn company, and it could just be depending on circumstances. I saw one thing online that was talking about how hard or soft the water is. Like they use color catchers because their water is hard, so it tends to pull dye out. So it might not be the yarn's fault. It might
could
be the water, which is weird. And I don't know enough about it. So I'm throwing things out there, not necessarily with background experience in it. So I don't know, like a lot of cotton, the rumor on the street is that cotton stretches and it will stretch over time. I don't know. I haven't had that happen to me. I have when I've made really heavy cotton things, like a bag, the straps might stretch out, but that's also because there was a lot of weight in the bag. So word on the street is that cotton stretches. I've made some stuff with this, but nothing like a huge garment yet to know how it's going to age. I throw the caveat in there.
Think that the addition of the nylon
Mhm.
into the mix
And the-
might
and the-
actually stabilize with the cumulus.
Like I had someone online asking about, because they are in the Caribbean, I think, should they be using, they're trying to decide between Ultra Pima and Bamboo Pop, which is one we're going to talk about. The latter is one we're going to talk about today. Ultra Pima cotton from Cascade is 100% cotton. I know some knitters who are going to be making this out of the Ultra Pima. We cautioned it could grow, but we don't have experience with that ourselves to know if that's actually going to be a problem. I mean, it's one of those, I feel like it's everyone told, like I used to say when I was a kid, everyone told me broccoli was gross, so I never ate broccoli, or mushrooms, especially. Mushrooms are
That
gross,
one
so
I
I never ate mushrooms. And now I like mushrooms. So, sometimes you just have to test, and your own experience with the yarn will tell you. Because if someone told me that cotton stretches and you should never make garments out of it, and then I avoided, I spent my whole life not making things out of cotton, who knows what I was missing out on. So the one thing I do pay attention to, here's my caveat on that, all these caveats today. The one thing I do stick by is that alpaca will grow under its own weight. That I have experienced. That the bigger something gets out of 100% alpaca, there's not enough structure to hold it. Like cotton has structure, but it's possible it could grow too. I have someone on my tips and tricks channel who's asking a question that I haven't replied to yet about the only sweater they've made, luckily looks good as a dress. And I have questions about what fiber and how they blocked it. And I have so many questions that this will be an ongoing dialogue probably, because not without knowing the fiber, it's hard to address. And even knowing the fiber, sometimes I might not have answers. So yeah. Moving on, because we didn't have much time to start and I'm swirling. So
Shocked.
really nice. I think I'm going to enjoy making this. I'm just intrigued to see what that looks like, straighten it up, because it's kind of rainbowy, but kind of not. You picked one last week that we put off till this week, and it is a favorite of mine because it's not 100% alpaca. It's 50-50 alpaca and wool, and it's fantastic for sweaters.
I have it in my pile of ranunculi yarn.
So what is it, Liz?
It is Berroco's Ultra Alpaca.
Mm-hmm.
Retails for $13.50. You get 119 yards. It is 50-50 alpaca and Peruvian wool. lay flat, wash, hand wash, lay flat to dry. They're recommending an 8 needle or an H hook.
So it'll be a little bit fluffy and loose on a 10. It will be fuzzy and warm. This will be a good winter option for a ranunculus. Like this one I made is kind of in between seasons, but this one will be great if you want to make a ranunculus. It's a light worsted weight. If you want to make one for warmer weather, because it's a little fuzzy, there's a little bit of a halo, but the wool gives it structure to survive well as a sweater.
I've done so many sweaters out of this. It is like my go-to sweater yarn because it's awesome.
One of my first good sweaters I made for somebody else, for my dad, I made out of ultra alpaca, and it was wonderful. My polyrhythm that I'm making right now, that I'm doing all the color work with, is ultra alpaca. And we have neutrals, we have dark colors, we have bold colors. It's fun. Remember the amount of yarn you want. I've been throwing out 800 yards as kind of a midpoint. You might need less, you might need more. It really helps to take a look at the pattern on Ravelry or just get the pattern. We had some people were like, I don't know if I want to buy the pattern if I'm not going to end up making it. It's up to you. If you have the, I forget if it's $6 or $7, if you have that in your budget to hang on to it, check out the pattern to know how much you need to get. So for this, that would mean like at the higher end, 4 or 5 skeins, but you might need less. So
my sweaters go from 10.5 to 11 needles, and this works up just as well as being a tight gauge. So
many of these are heathery and pretty and just it's nice. So okay, so the ultra alpaca will be on sale this week, 15% off. Are we down to the, oh yes, I think
Yes,
we are.
we are.
Okay. The, what might you say are we down to? Patagonia, Juniper Moon Patagonia. So Juniper Moon also makes the Cumulus. Patagonia though is an organic merino wool, not superwash. So it's soft, but it doesn't have that sheeny like slipperiness of superwash. It is the sister cousin of the Alba that I made this out of. It is the same thickness and the same yardage per skein. It's in a twist instead of a ball, but it's just merino. And my Jupiter crop is made out of this. It's great for color work. It'll be great for this. It'll give you the same drape and look probably as this, as what I'm wearing. Last week when I'm like, it's the cousin of what I made, is what I meant for this. When Liz was like, no, it's what you made it out of, when we were talking about the Alba.
It is also the baby sibling of the La Pampa
Yes.
that was on sale a few weeks ago. Like it's the smaller
I
sibling.
think we put it on sale a few weeks ago, but we're putting it on sale in terms of something that could be really fun for the ranunculus. I will caution, it's something that if you yank really hard on this yarn, it will break.
You don't need scissors.
It means you don't, you can still knit with it. It doesn't mean, oh my gosh, I can't knit with it because it's going to break. You can spit join it back together, but it's like, just be careful. If it snags on something, it's probably going to break, but you can put it back together. That's part of what makes it so soft. It is not, I wouldn't use this on the warp of a loom because you need a lot of tension, and usually you use wool for that, but the spin on this is so soft.
It's a very
so
loose, like 2-ply yarn.
Yeah. It's pretty. I like it.
So it's
very
more
much.
structure than like Noro, but
This is a new color we just got in.
It's red.
We may not have a full bag, which is 10 skeins of it because,
oops.
but she'll talk about that in a second.
Stats. You get 382 yards per 100 grams. Machine wash, lay flat to dry, blah, 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 blah. US 5 to 7 needle.
She started one already on the red.
Yeah, it's on an 11.
You do not have to wait until April to start the ranunculus, but please don't come at me with questions about it when I haven't started my second one yet. This I only vaguely remember. Didn't take me long, but this size with the croppy and everything took like a skein and a half of something with this amount of yardage for me. If you want it longer, like if you just want to lengthen it, 2 skeins might still be enough. Just make the torso longer.
I'm planning on putting longer sleeves on mine.
So
I got 3.
You got 3 to be
even though my crop is going to be super cropped. I wanted to make sure I had enough for the long sleeves.
We got the Lobelia back in, which is kind of a royal purple. I feel like this is lighter than before, but it's not. It's just my brain.
Crochet hooks 7 to an I, mythological 7, and we are retailing it for $16.50. This is the mustard
15% off. Yes, the mustard is pretty. We got that one back in recently too. My Jupiter crop has tons of yummy colors on it. The turquoisey color is still back ordered, so we still don't have that, but you can check out what we have. I might have ordered one more than just this new color, but they might not have been available. So this is technically a DK weight, but it's so thin I would consider it a sport weight.
It does fluff
It
nicely.
fluffs. So like
So,
even this one fluffed too.
yeah.
Different one.
Yeah.
So going a little thinner in terms of sport weight and in terms of a plant fibery one, because a lot of these are animal, like we had the cotton, but it's a warm cotton. In terms of having something that's a little more springy this week, we had a bunch of springy ones last week. We thought we'd put bamboo pop on sale. And bamboo pop is 50% cotton, 50% bamboo. So 2 plant fibers, whereas the ultra alpaca was 2 animal fibers. It's thinner. It's a really thin sport weight. Some people actually use this for socks.
It is 292 yards per 100 grams. So
Almost 300,
Yeah.
excuse me. Almost 300 yards per. So, you know, like 3 of these is going to be a substantial amount of yarn. Actually, we have it in solids and we have it in variegateds, and I think they're all online. Not all the colors might be online. I will check that this week. Yeah, and I'm not sure if I've gotten the speckled online, but that will be one of my
it
jobs
doesn't
today.
show up on the.
It doesn't show up. It's got here.
Look
Oh,
at the speckles.
Just little bits.
You gotta get closer to the camera.
Sorry.
But so we have an interesting range, an interesting inventory right now. If we're out of any colors that you desperately want, contact the shop and we'll see. This is one of the yarns that I should be able to see if it's in stock. And then we could pre-order it at the sale price. You can pay us if it's in stock and we'll get it for you. But this it's really soft. It's like not all twist cotton like this is this soft. The bamboo gives it both structure and softness. Like the lady who was asking about, should she do the Ultra Pima or the bamboo pop? I'm like, well, bamboo pop both might be a little lighter, a little more breathable, and might have better structure to it in the long run. Someone came in yesterday who made a cardigan out of one of our color changing.
The color,
ones.
it looked phenomenal.
It looks
Like,
so
I
different.
was
than
like,
in
that's not the
skein.
same yarn. And she
Yeah.
was like, and you had like concentrate
It was like
on
orangey
it to go.
red and like these guys, depending on, they don't stripe. These guys might look stripy in the skein, but they do a variegated thing, and it totally changes depending on how wide the object you're making
Yeah.
is. So it will do different color work up here than down here, but it's like all over busy. I think it would make a lovely ranunculus.
Yeah. All of them, whether stripes, not stripes, speckles, all that fun stuff, is $9.95 retail. So 15% off this.
15% off that. What a bargain, you know? Okay, last but certainly not least, we just got in a massive shipment of some of our colors of Perth that we've been running low on. And I really feel like, so we've got Rainbow Reef back in stock, which is the color of our of the Papillon I have under the register that catches everybody's attention when they come in the shop. So we've got a bunch of this. Perth is a slow color fading, so it'll kind of look stripy, but in this like muted shifting through colors way. So it's kind of like this guy, but instead of through the whole skein, you've got a bunch of repeats. It's like the thinner version of our feeder book. And there's so many fun colors, and by itself, it just is this muted. I use it so much with a contrast, so much.
I think that like the Royal Botanical Gardens and the Pearl,
neutral ones,
the neutral ones are
The
going
light
to be just
ones.
an absolutely
let me
gorgeous,
show you one of the few items we have in the shop that is showing what one color. This is the
Pearl.
Lake Gardner.
Yes.
Lake Gardner, but it's yes, it's the shimmering pearl pattern.
Shimmering pearl
We
pattern.
think it looks kind of like mother of pearl when it's knit up. So this is the kind of idea, but this also got wider as it went. So it got a little more stripy as it went because the colors got more spread out. If you look at the top part here, you can see some of what could happen with the ranunculus. It means this works for lace work because the shifting and the lace don't have to combat with each other. And yep, okay. I was looking at the backside. So this kind of lace work will still show up, but if you want something that's going to color change to keep it kind of exciting and fun, try out one of the colors at
And
first.
when I went through the projects on Ravelry, because
Yep.
there's thousands of ranunculi floating around out there. There were a lot of faded ones. There were speckled ones. There are so many. People have tried almost everything.
Mhm.
There's over 300 pages, I want to say, of
A lot of people have
projects.
done.
So
That's why it stays up at the top so much
Yeah.
for popularity. So I'm going to be working over the next week to start mine so I can film videos of the collar work and how I do them for other people. And I don't want to make too many promises that I will have trouble keeping, because there's a lot that people are hoping I will do to help them out. And there's only one of me. So we will see, but I would love to get you going on this. I'm also hoping I can figure out, I know you have a solution if you don't want to do one of the fun cast-ons. We're gonna have a couple of options if you don't want to try one of the I hesitate to use the word more complicated, because they're just different and they may not be cast-ons that you're used to, but she has good instructions and they will work. One of our knitters said one of the most complicating things for her was just getting used to thin yarn on big needles. It takes a little getting used to. And I would say try to persevere through. And of course, one of the more complicated, or just not as easy things is what you're doing first, is getting all the stitches on your needle. So have some patience through that. Give it a shot. I will see if I can come up with potential alternatives. They may not be as good as the pattern writer's options. If you're really struggling with those two cast-ons, we'll say, well, you could always do, because this one started with only 30 stitches, but look at this, it worked. I followed her instructions and it worked. And the other one started with 60 stitches, and you've done different things. I
go for I like my wider necks. So the first increase after the ribbing takes you from 60 to 90 stitches. So I just cast on 90 and do my ribbing and ignore that.
We'll come back to it because
Yeah.
we're out of time.
I know.
But
Of course we are.
of course we are. So Liz, I
okay.
just started to talk about
No.
something, so of course
No,
we're out
but
of time.
that's
No.
just how I.
Yeah.
But it gives
We'll
you
come
a
back to
much
that.
wider neckline.
Yeah, and if you don't want a wider neckline, then we'll see. She has instructions for like not as wide and a wide, like the 30 stitches. I think this was the not as wide actually, and it's kind of wide. So, but it's the size I picked too. So modifications on top of that will have to do with your comfortableness, making up words here, with trying things out and adapting and experimenting. If you don't want to experiment, you might have to deal with what you get. So,
And the fiber can change
that.
that.
yes. And I'm doing 2 fibers that don't have a lot of give to them, or like it'll be interesting. It's whatever. All right. So we have to go. We should have opened the shop about 3 minutes ago, but it's a hot mess outside. So no one's beating down our door, but stay safe, stay dry. Call us if we can help with anything. I'll try to get this video up as soon as I can. If a color we talked about, if you're not seeing it online, contact us, because it could be that I didn't have time to put it up yet, like especially some of the bamboo pop colors. So we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.